how much was it on your mind that like you would have to wait for someone else to basically die like before you were able to receive a heart?
That really did not cross my mind until the day that they told me that they had a heart for me. Because that's when I realized that somebody else had to die in order for me to live. My name is Michael Mackey. I am 62 years old, and at the age of 28, I had a heart transplant. I currently live in Jamestown, North Carolina with my wife, and I have two daughters, Krista and Nicole. It all started back in 1987. I was an avid basketball player. I played basketball maybe 3 to 4 times per week, but I would always notice that after I finished playing, I was always extremely tired. And then one day after playing, I started coughing up blood. And at this time, I was stationed in Naples, Italy. So what happened was I went to the hospital on sick call and told them I was coughing up blood, and they did some x-rays and things. And they originally told me that I had pneumonia. They sent me home and told me to come back in a week. Well, when I returned back to work, my supervisor said, they want to see you over at the hospital immediately. So I went back to the hospital and they ran some more tests. And that's when they came back and said, we looked at your x-rays and something does not look right. It looks like your heart is larger than it's supposed to be. The next thing I know was they were medevacing me from Naples, Italy, from the Naval Hospital to Landstuhl, Germany, to an Army hospital. Once I got to Landstuhl, Germany, the doctors ran some more tests and they put me on a medication and things seemed to get better. And they told me that they were going to send me back to Naples, Italy and watch me, and they was going to bring me back in 60 days. Well, in the meantime, I already had orders to transition from Naples, Italy to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. So I convinced the doctors to let me go ahead and process back to the States. One day, when I went to have an IV because my unit was going to the rifle range and I didn't want to go, so that was my way out of going. Go to the hospital, get an IV, then they send me back home. Well, the nurse that was there ran some tests and she said that she was concerned about my situation and that I shouldn't be up walking around, so they ended up admitting me to the hospital. They put me on medication again, and I started feeling better. When they were going to discharge me, they took me off the medication, and I was sitting there in the room, not hooked up to anything, waiting for my friend to come to pick me up. Well, when he came to pick me up, as I got ready to leave out the hospital, I passed out again. So they readmitted me, ran some more tests, and they came to a conclusion that the only thing that would help me would be a heart transplant. So they sent me from Walter Reed to the Hunter Holmes McGuire Veterans Hospital in Richmond, Virginia. And there I went straight to the cardiac care unit, where I kind of waited like 19 days to have a transplant. I had my surgery on April the 24th, 1988. And I left the hospital around the middle of June. One of the things that happened while I was in the hospital was that there were other transplants on the same floor, heart transplants. So we all formed a bond, and we were not able to be released until we had like 8 good biopsies in a row. But the recovery process in the hospital was kind of fun in the sense that we had more freedom and you was feeling a lot better physically and emotionally than you were prior to the transplant. So that was a good thing. Having gone through a successful transplant, I realized that I have been given a second chance at life. And the way that I live my life now is great for me, but it's also a way for me to be able to honor the person who became a organ donor because they was willing when their life ended for somebody else's life to be able to continue. I would just encourage people to become organ donors because you're able to save other people's lives and to give other people a second opportunity, but also give back to the next generation through research. Because I have been able to take part in different test trials that have improved the quality of life and the medication that other transplants are going to be able to take that's going to save their lives.